I'm in Mae Sai now. It's in the north part of Thailand, and the bus depot is right down there. You see that bus straight to the right. Amidst all of these old commercial buildings, unfinished commercial buildings, etc., 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 etc. And it's a 3-kilometer hike into town. But since I have nothing particular to do today, I'm going to hike in there. So if you're going to redo your bathroom or your floor, here's where you get the tile. Some of these look like they might be Thai, but some look like they could be for any culture. Probably true. That's pretty. More interesting than the ones we have, but incredibly expensive to ship, I imagine. That's one reason I don't like these tours, as well as the tour, the smaller one I was looking at, where you have to hire an individual driver and vehicle per group. In other words, I'm by myself, so that's 2,000 baht. And so what most of the stops are is either at a market like this, or at a hill tribe village market, theoretically, which is not usually the village itself, and usually is just a market. Unlike South America, here every few hundred feet are one or more of these little receptacles made out of old tires, and they're all over the place. And then magically the stuff gets picked up and disappears. Notice the water here. It hasn't rained for weeks, to my understanding, and yet in the towns along the sidewalks early in the morning will be water, and they must hose it down in the middle of the night. If I were in the mood for trying, I could probably make a golden triangle circuit from Mae Sai down to Chiang Sen and then back to Chiang Rai, but I'm just going to go to Mae Sai, maybe go to that cave, and then take the bus back. Just makes for another interesting day. Here is another little shrine. I've seen a couple of them, and things that look like this in various places. Not quite sure what they mean. And there are some more further up. Perhaps they're individuals tributes to this Wat that we're going to right now. You can see that this is a different either concept or different stylization. The tower we've seen, but usually at the end of a building rather than the middle. The Chedai and the tower, or something that kind of looks like that. Somewhat similar, but this is, I think, is an allusion to a Chedai. And you can see that it's clearly different than that. And then also notice back in front of these trees, in those trees, and way behind those trees are more of those in the ground sites, whatever they are. Now they may be family plots for all I know. Now we're only a few borders away from Myanmar, the extremely repressive, dictatorial country. And it may be heavy Chinese influence in this area. Up north certainly is that heavy influence, as you can see from the lettering, and you can just, I'm sure, deduce just from the artwork itself. Like this panel right here, it just has that ring about it. And this has the look of something that might hold a family's ashes, if you will. And they're just peering through. You can see way up on that little knoll there, and perhaps they go even farther, all through back behind those trees. So this may be a Chinese cemetery. And notice they all have that similar design that we're looking at in front of us here, where it's like a building behind that facade, a small building that could house either ashes or bodies or whatever. And here a little forest of Chedai. That's not terribly unusual. So maybe this is reflecting the mix of Buddhism and the Chinese influence on it. I've now discovered what we're looking at here. This is a crematorium. and we are at a cemetery. And this building to the left, which looks like it's just a visitor relaxation area, would be where the extended family would sit during the crematorium. Well, here's one of the devices, and brand new and motorized, that are used in the rice fields. The ones I see oftentimes are either driven by a tractor, pulled by a tractor, or pulled by or pushed by manually by an individual. A bush with pretty yellow flowers on them. I think we've probably seen this before. They come in red, and here's what they look like when the plants have been fooling around. Now I'm guessing that I'm now entering the long axis of the road that leads to the border directly. I don't know what this complex is. There were lots of people milling about. It is a Sunday, so it could be that kind of a holiday thing. But there was this pretty building I saw from across the street, and I wanted to look at it because it looks like it has some different elements than I'm used to seeing. I'll just start at the top and work down. This is pretty normal, the umbrellas, but then notice the Chedai portion of it is similar in design, and then the house structure itself. I think what I find and saw interesting were the naga on the banisters of the stairway. Here they seem to have either wings or some kind of something that like a fan shape behind their head, which I thought was just interesting. Not so terribly unusual are the other two dragons on the other stairway. And what we notice from this different perspective is that each has 3 heads and necks, and the number 3 cropping up once again. And that's some kind of a crown piece. That's, for example, you see it on some birds. This is immigration office, and the gentleman told me I could go across the border for a couple hours today. All I need is my passport. However, he will not come and bail me out if I can't get back. But he said check at the border. This little truck is just a standard little one of the tiny trucks, and it's absolutely overloaded, and it hangs off the back probably 4 to 6 feet. This is a 3-lane each way road leading directly up to the border, pretty much filled with these China shop houses, or shop houses they call them. The first floor for retail, the second floor often for storage, and sometimes the second or third floor used for residential. So just before I get to the border, I had the need to go to the bathroom, and I wanted to find a nice place that I wanted to sit down. And one of the best ways to do that is to find a nice place, a hotel or a restaurant that's nice. Go in and order something to drink, which I felt like doing anyway, a bottle of soda. And I went in, nobody was there. I saw a sign for the toilet, so I went in and spent some time working at that. And then came out and had a soda. Here are listed the visa exemptions over here. I think this is the Mekong River. I think it represents the border between the two countries. It's the union of Myanmar, or Myanmar. Extremely repressive, but they love to have tourists because they want the money. But you can't go beyond the little border of the town and for more than 15 days. So I'm now in the repressive state of Myanmar, however you pronounce it. One of those states that we ought to constructively use our CIA to eliminate the upper echelon political leaders. And this is what I get, my entry permit, and you come through, you give them your passport. This is my entry permit. In order to get this, you go first to the Thai immigration gate and you give them your passport. They take your exit paper that they put in when you came into the country away from you, and they stamp it and your passport. They will return that on my way out. Then I pass through to Myanmar, and there I pay them 500 baht or $10 US. Hint, hint, guess whose currency is still highly valued in the world? Understatement. And then they take my passport and they give me this piece of paper. They take my picture and they do everything else. This is what I look like in red, yellow, green, and old. Apparently the black ink's run out. As this market suggests, there probably will be no significant difference that I will sense. This will be almost totally a tourist shop, this whole town, because the whole goal is for the Myanmar government to get as much foreign currency in here as they can to bolster the economy of those countries that have no natural resource like oil or coal or diamonds that they can pawn to the world. Their economy usually is really, really bad. This is the town square, apparently. Realizing the drug-free zone, I bet you 10 to 1 the government subsidizes the opium trade if it can to make good money off of it. So here we'll go wander down through these shops. I doubt there's much more to look at. On second thought, I think I'll take a walk up that street there. Don't know whether this is a different alphabet or language or what. The touts for taxis and tours are as rampant as flies. It's their only way of making money. My strategy is that I show them no recognition at all. I just keep right on walking, absolutely ignoring them. If they touch me, I turn around and glare at them, as much as to say, touch me and I'll kill you. There are little markets for food. Nothing should be different because it's the same growing area, of course. Same toys, probably from China. This is probably a political and a economic free zone. Political in the sense that do anything you want, as long as you don't do anything to detract from the government itself. The architecture, I have to say, is a little bit prettier here, a little bit more elegant balconies, as you can see. Whether this is an anomaly or not, I don't know. It may just be this block. Just looking down this street, again, it's a little bit prettier. Places painted. I don't think it's a put on because I think I'm already well out of the tourist area. These little jobbies for holding the vehicles, handmade, but very clever to use the handles like that. We use rope. Sawadee-kup. That's how you work hard here. Oh, there's those little hibachi type things. Incidentally, the sewer system here and in Thailand is underneath these movable stones or cement slabs. And you don't smell anything from it. I don't think I have at all. Infrastructure over here will be worse than Thailand, particularly as I get farther from the tourist area. The little guy is going to carry this thing on his head. This is an interesting building. A little bit more interesting if that was all balcony, but it's pretty. And then that part of the building is interesting. Again, the architecture here seems to be better. Notice these squat toilets work the same way. It drops down then up, leaving a water pool, if you will, at the bottom there to keep odor from going back up into the bathroom. And if you're a young person that failed to take advantage of any educational system here, and certainly of the ability to learn English, you can buy one of these and start your life. Now, something I just decided to notice right now, is that everybody's now driving on the right side of the road. I mean, the correct side of the road. Took me a while to figure that one out. Probably the only things I've noticed that are different is the infrastructure is slightly, if at all, a little bit less maintained. People driving on the right side, that's a clear indicator I'm somewhere besides Thailand. Architecture, a little bit more interesting. Maintenance about the same, I think. Touch and go. And here, this is just interesting. It can't all be that bad, not in this area. Not so far as the economics. Keep away from narcotics and psychotropic substances. And this apparently is a high school, so it certainly looks just as good. Now, what the rest of the country looks like is a good question. I don't know. So I'm about 8 or 10 blocks away from the tourist section. Don't see any gringos at all. I call anybody from Europe and America gringos, and I don't see anything that looks like tourists at all. So now I'll wander back and then turn to the left and cut down towards the river, as long as I feel safe with it, and then work my way back and across the border now. Here I'm on a somewhat quieter side street. It would be interesting to know what the history of this old town is, because the architecture is better, more interesting. And this Christian cross with a crown on top may give us a clue. As old trucks like this go by, it smells like fish oil, but I feel like maybe they're burning fish oil. You know, I think I'm looking down the tourist row, but I could see for the bridge as soon as I came across into this country. What I do see is more Indians, from India. And you hear the same phrases when I walk down here as I do in Italy or anywhere else. Excuse me, sir. Hello, hello. They'll do anything they can, justifiably, to try and get you in to look at their business. And here are roasted chestnuts, but bigger than the ones I saw in Bangkok. And this goes in every direction. Every little intersection goes off in another direction. As a market, I mean. There's nothing here that you're going to find that I can think of that you wouldn't find in any place in Thailand in the market. Here's a large Chinese temple complex. I'm not going to go in it. This chorus of insects.